Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script.
I love it.
Oh, I love the dance party vibes.
It's the best. You know, we don't always have the energy for it, but when we do, I feel like we have two scales. We have two temperatures. We're either dance partying or we're deep breathing before we
There's no in between. Yeah, we're either
really
regulating to get ourselves like fully present to have a bomb-ass conversation, or we're feeling all of the celebratory vibes. There's no in between.
Today we're celebrating.
We're freaking celebrating. You want to know why?
Yeah, why?
Alex can see.
Oh, we love that.
No, I don't think so. It had been 12 years, Brie, since I got my eyes checked. Went and got my eyes checked, got my glasses. But here's why it's pertinent to our show. Everyone looks different on the TV.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, everybody looks so different because before, like, my old glasses, they were a 12-year-old prescription. So, like, things were still very... And I found out I have astigmatism in both eyes, which, like, my last prescription did not have that in there. So I'm like, why didn't I? Yeah. I don't feel like that's something you just have.
Who looks different to you? Can you give us an example?
All of them. Like, everything is so much more... I turned on the TV and I was like, oh... Like, it was so overwhelming, and like the trees and the individual leaves on the trees, and like how crisp and clear. It's just a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life.
Wow, so much gratitude.
Yeah, well, so you want to know, 100%. Oh my gosh. And 5 senses grounding is a whole new world with these babies on. It's like, oh my God. Like it's just so much more fun. Life is fun when you can see. And so anyway, when I was watching BIP, there was, was it Jared and Ashley? Someone was on the beach, and I just remember being like, God, that sand, like I can like see the texture of the sand. And all of the people's, like, there's more freckles on people's faces that I'm seeing now.
Yeah,
everything is just clear. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed watching BIP because I could see.
That's so cute. I feel like this is a true moment of a transition into gratitude for this, because
oh my gosh,
eventually all of this stuff is going to seem normal to you again.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you'll be able to see with more clarity, but you'll like eventually get to a place where you're not appreciating that difference. So it's so beautiful.
I don't know, because when I take my glasses off, things change real quick again. So it's like
facts. You know what? You can tell that I don't have any eyeglass support, because I'm just out here like, you fixed it, that's it forever, not remembering that like you literally take glasses off or contacts out and things change.
Like you're blurry AF right now, but
that's
like
crazy.
This, I can see your eyelashes.
Like, shout out to all of the people who have to pay to see, who have to deal with insurance to get support paying to physically see. Y'all need reparations and some support. You need money back. I don't understand.
Yeah. Give us universal health care, please.
For sure.
I have to
Vision.
pay to see.
Yeah, you have to pay to see. It's bullshit.
It's so bullshit. And like driving at night was like, I avoided it at all costs because it was like, and if you have astigmatism, you know, like, and I didn't know that this was why, but the lights are like gnarly at night with astigmatism because of how psycho they look. I don't even know how to describe it. They look like, like kaleidoscopes when you're a kid, and how the colors like had this
disperse.
Aura.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like that. Like every stoplight, every headlight, every brake light, it's just everywhere. It's like, wow. So, and because of the sensitivity to the light, it would really F up my depth perception driving at night. So I just stopped driving at night. I would like avoid it at all costs, like no friends hangouts in the PMs because like I had to be home. So it's really nice now, especially since we're getting into daylight savings time where it gets dark at like 4 PM, to be able to not have to be concerned about that or like think ahead in that way. And I get my contacts next week. So hells yeah. Like,
wow.
life.
Life.
So
That's so
grateful.
beautiful.
So that's like my really exciting news to
I
share. What about
love it.
you?
I guess I have exciting news. I
Yeah, you
consciously
do.
uncoupled with someone.
Oh my gosh, share that experience with
Yeah,
us.
I mean, it's only exciting in that like I feel like really good about how it went, and I
Yeah.
feel that today, I feel good about how it went, and I think that it was like the best thing for both of us. But yeah, I mean, it was a situation where me and this person were seeing each other. We were spending a lot of time. We were having a really good time, and I think that there was like a lot of respect and
Yeah.
a lot of maturity happening in our time spent together. But ultimately, like this person didn't want the same things out of life. I really eventually want to get. I want commitment, like it
Yeah.
could be in the form of marriage. Ideally, that's what it looks like. But and like I want to be open to having kids, and this person was very clear very early on that they didn't want these things, and so we knew that ahead of time. So I think it was about both of us just being comfortable and spending time with each other until one or both of us decided that this needed to change one way or another. So no
Yeah.
ultimatums present. So I feel,
Obviously.
yeah, I feel grateful, like, because I think the gratitude that I'm having is like younger me would have been terrified to do this, and younger me would have held
Right.
on to keep the attention of someone that I was
Yes.
attracted to. Yeah.
Yeah. And or
So,
old, and can I chime in with what I used to
yeah,
do in this dynamic? Old Alex would have
yes,
been like, let me stay with you and convince you of how wonderful I am.
yeah,
So you do want to be
yeah,
with me and you do want
yeah.
to get married and knock me up and have babies and create
A
a
hundred
world. Like,
percent. Like I have spent, and this person was giving me a lot more than the bare minimum, but I have accepted far less than the bare minimum from people at the chance of them just one more
right.
hangout and then you'll get it about me. One more, if you just meet my friends and me, you'll see how much they love me and you'll love me.
Yeah.
And like, why are we
Oh, that
convincing people to
hits.
love us?
I know. Let's not. If they don't get it, they
Let's
don't get
not.
it. Bye,
Yeah,
homie.
girl. If they
Yeah,
don't,
it's
if
such a
listen,
vibe. That
the
energy.
girls who
Yeah.
get it, they get it. If you're dating me, if you either get it or you don't, and there's such a clear difference. Like I've
Yes.
met people that aren't fazed by me, and that's beautiful and puzzling, and I applaud that too. Good for you. You need to get your eyes and ears checked. But all jokes
100.
aside, but the people that are bought into this, it's so clear, and I don't
Yeah.
have to change anything about who I am. Whereas when I was younger, I was like, okay, what do I need to be doing more or less of? Like, do I need to be cooler, more nonchalant, more mysterious, funnier? Do I need to have said the right things? Like, no. The people that like me want to be around me regardless if I trip over my words, say something silly,
Yeah.
like don't have makeup on, don't look perfect. Like they don't care.
No. Yeah, I
So
love
it
that.
did feel good. It felt good to be able to be like, you know what, this could work for a long time, but it's not what I want. I really applaud this person for being able to hear what I was saying. There was no defensiveness. They were able to like speak their piece, and it's so far so good. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
the development of those feelings or that process changes. I don't want to write it off and be like we're all good, like healthy uncoupling, like whatever.
Yeah.
But right now it feels appropriate and good.
Good. I love that for you. I'm so proud of you. Like, it's so
Hmm.
uncomfortable, especially when we've like finally really connected with someone and we're kind of, especially, and I'm sure for you, you just said like you were getting more than the bare minimum from this person, which makes it even harder
Yeah,
because you're like, fuck,
yeah,
like you're not even being a dick
yeah.
about it. Like, you
No,
know?
not a dick.
Um, yeah. And so I think like I applaud that so much because I know how hard that is. And I know how
Hmm.
much even in that small moment, which might feel so much like so uncomfortable and again challenging and heart aching because you're like, fuck, I wish this would work out, you know, the way that I wanted it to. And yet there's so much growth that comes from that in that
Yeah,
one little interaction. And
yeah,
fucking get it, girl. So
yeah.
proud.
And I like that. I think that like I used to be a believer of like if this person was an asshole, whoever I'm dating, like it'd be easier to cut it. I actually don't think that that's true. I think this person
Yeah.
being a good dude and and I already knew had loads of respect for me and vice versa. It made it easier and more comfortable for me to be like, listen, I got to have a conversation that I really don't emotionally want to have. But
Yeah.
like, I think we got to talk about this stuff. And he was right in step with me. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've been thinking about it too. We got to take care of what we need to take care of. And I think that I want us to be able to feel like we can move towards more of that. Because instead of being like, oh, it's just easier when they're an asshole and you can just be mad at them. Think about how that charges the way that you approach these conversations as well. It makes it like incredibly painful, and in some ways it could lead to the two of you hurting each other in a conversation. And like, yes, because if you like the person that you're with and you know that you need to leave anyway, it makes it challenging to initiate the conversation because you're like, is it bad enough? Like, it's not really that bad. Like, why am I going to disrupt what's not bad to do something that probably needs to be done? It's like, well, at least your feelings are in a neutral place. Your nervous system's in a neutral place. Maybe theirs is too. And you can actually have a conversation. Like, if you have that opportunity, like, try to create it,
Yeah.
is my
Yeah,
takeaway.
totally. Yeah. And even if they are being a dick, girl, feel
Do
your
it
feelings
anyway.
on a pillow. Feel your feelings on a
Yeah.
pillow.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think the bottom, you and I were talking about this privately because of something that I'm dealing with very much in
Yeah.
my life, and we'll keep that to a minimum. But, there's something about when we are very emotionally charged and upset about something, but being able to process that ourselves and not let that other person have the reaction, that like brunt end of the bunt, whatever that word is, the end of
Yeah.
that reaction is like so huge. And so for anyone like going through maybe something similar to what Bree's going through, but they are being a dick and they are kind of triggering you in a way that's like causing you to want to like lash out or let like this saying of like, I need to have the last word. No, you don't. Like, let it just, you be you, lead with light and love, and like be okay with your emotions. And the less you give them, the stronger you are in those moments. And does that land? Am I explaining that well? Yeah, it's like that's the power goddess vibes that I aim to be in,
Yeah.
at least.
I agree. Like, like, there has to be a place for you to feel your feelings. It doesn't necessarily have to be in front of the person that you're directing that energy towards.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
like if you can get yourself to a place where you feel how you feel, get your takeaways. Like, I think what we've experienced as we've been chatting is like like having emotionally vulnerable conversations with each other, and then you're like, oh, that's why I feel what I feel. That's good
Yeah.
for me to know. And that brought you to a different place of understanding,
Acceptance.
which allowed you to, yeah, and it allowed you to feel like, okay, now I know what I want to do with this knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it allowed me to grieve more efficiently, for in that context too, because then it was like, oh, at first, like just to piggyback off of what Brie and I are talking about, when I hit Brie up the other day because of my feelings of what I was going through in my life, at first I was like, I'm trying to understand my sadness, but I also want to create space for me to just be sad and not like define where this is coming from either. And it took me hours, like literally that was like one of the first voice notes I sent you, and then hours later we were on the phone, and then all of a sudden naturally that light bulb moment came. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes when we are so stuck in like, I need to understand this now, I need to be able to put words to this emotion now, it makes it harder for us to even get there. Whereas if we can accept the emotion, and I'm really like, something that I'm really working on always in my life is surrendering to the emotion. One, it allows it to pass faster, but two, when we surrender and accept it, then that clarity actually comes through because we're not lost in our emotional mental sauce of like, I need to know why, I need to answer all the questions, and I need to not feel this way. It's like doing that fucks us up more. So it's like,
Yeah.
let's not.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you.
Totes, thank you. And like snaps for Brie. Yay!
Snaps for you. Okay, I want to talk a
Yay!
little bit about what's going to happen today in this show. We got
Yeah.
a couple of questions coming through, and so thank you so much for people who've reached out to us and want our take on some things. So we're going to answer one of those questions today, and then we're going to get into our Bachelor in Paradise review.
Oh my gosh, and there's so much tea for VIP. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
so
T
much.
for VIP.
Also, before we jump into this question, I just want to say, y'all, DTS has been around for a whole year. Ditch the Script has been around for a whole year. So we're celebrating our 1 year anniversary with you. We love you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much, and sending you so much light and love on this first anniversary.
It's our first
kisses.
anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you would love to, if you've been like loving our show, whether you've been listening for an entire whole year, or if you're new to us and you just found us on social media lately, we would love, as an anniversary gift, we would love if you went to iTunes, or I'm sorry, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and like write a review, give us however many stars you believe we've earned. 5 would be preferable. And leave us a little review. We got another review recently. It was really sweet.
Oh
they
my
said that we
gosh.
they said that we make long car rides fast and more fun.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, cool.
We are actively trying to figure out new ways to bring more opportunities for you to be a part of the show with us. So we're looking into like more giveaways in the future. So listen in for that. But until then, if you want to be a part of the show, you can always go to our website, www.ditchthescriptpod.com. You can ask us a question there. It gets sent to our email. Or you can apply for a 30-minute mini session, and we can have you on and record a little informational intervention, I guess.
A little informational ditty. It would be great.
A little kiki.
Okay. Yes. All right. So let's jump into this question.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Okay. Well, so we've gotten a lot of questions about people who are coming from experiences with narcissists, whether they know that these individuals have been narcissists or they suspect due to their behavior and whatever they've been learning online or through the show or through Alex's services online, about putting the pieces together to wonder if they have been in a relationship or been raised by a parent that was a narcissist. And before we even talk about it, I want to say that these questions are really important to be asking. I love that the people who have reached out are starting these conversations with yourselves enough to want to put these into words and send it our way. I want to remind people that this show is going to be really difficult to be able to answer some of these really, really heavy, long details of what you've been going through. And with so much respect to what you've been through and so much gratitude for reaching out to us, I want to redirect you and say thank you. And please, look into Alex's services. She goes by the Alex Scott on Instagram, on TikTok. I really, really, really encourage you look into her services. All of her services create a whole wide variety of being able to meet your needs in a lot of different ways. She's created a lot of different programs that could really be helpful, that can give you way more support than we can by answering your question in a couple minutes on this show.
Right.
Would you add anything?
I got you.
Yeah.
Just slide in my DMs. I do not bite. Send me an email. Either of those are the best way to hit me up. But yeah, it's to Bree's point. It's, this is a very fun podcast. It's also a very valuable, knowledgeable podcast. And in order to do our due diligence as practitioners, answering some of the questions we've received so far, it would be a challenge and a disservice to us without getting more information from you. And so that's all we're trying to say with so much love and support, that we want to help you. We just need to do that through the right avenues. So again, if you're struggling with narcissistic abuse or trauma, and that's something that you really, really want more information on, please reach out to me on Instagram, like Bree said, at the Alex Scott, or via email. And I'd be happy to continue the conversation there. With that being said, we did find a question that I think is really relatable to a lot of folks. And I think we can kind of shed some light on things to think about and questions to ask yourself to gain some more clarity. So let's dig into that.
Okay. So we're going to keep this individual's name anonymous. This person writes to us and they say, I've been on both sides of a toxic relationship. Unfortunately, I have seen some terrible traits exhibited by myself. I'm working on it, but how do I make sure I do not exhibit narcissistic traits again myself? It can be hard to see it while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So true. Definitely.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to applaud this person's awareness of like taking accountability for their half. And this is something that I've seen with folks who've struggled, you know, who are survivors of narcissistic abuse. They struggle with that sometimes because one,
Yeah.
they're dealing with chronic gaslighting. So they take over responsibility for the things that have happened to themselves and to other people. But two, something else that happens a lot within narcissistic abuse dynamics is projection, where one person will call the other, you're a narcissist, you're being narcissistic. And it's not helpful language to use. So it's like when this person writes in and he's acknowledging like, hey, I can see my half and I can see this, you know, other people's halves, but how do I make sure that I take care of my side of the street moving forward? Huge gold star. Next steps would be, one, what is the feedback you've currently received that's actually been constructive? Right? Like, because telling someone you're narcissistic, there's no constructive feedback there, right?
Totally.
Saying, hey, I feel dismissed sometimes when you tell me that that's not what happened, or when you tell me how I should be feeling. Okay, that's constructive. So what I'm hearing my partner say is that they feel dismissed by me when I gaslight them, right? They're not using that term, but they're describing, you know, that's what's happening.
Being gaslit.
Okay, cool. So that's my first thing is like take inventory of what constructive feedback you've received so far. The second thing, second and third, I would say is one, knowing that you care how your actions impact others. What are the times that you have felt when you're in a relationship with someone and you've done something or said something that you immediately feel some kind of remorse for? Right? And like sit with that and then take ownership of it. And this is where a lot of people will go one way or the other because we don't like feeling shame.
Yeah.
And because we don't like feeling shame, a lot of people get more defensive behind the shitty thing that they've done because their defensiveness is to protect them from feeling shame of admitting, yeah, I did do something fucked up.
Yeah. Right.
You know? And so so pay attention to those moments, like take a quick inventory back on your past relationships. And again, I say relationships as like the giant umbrella term, not just romantic, but like friendships, you know, relationships with parents, coworkers, anything like that. And see where it's been without, you know, not in alignment with who you are. I just did something, I said something that wasn't in alignment with who I am. And instead of owning it, I'm trying to sweep it under the rug. Okay. That's not going to serve me. Let me own it. Let me forgive myself. Let me fix it going forward. Right. And that would really be, those are my quick tips on like ensuring, you know, you're growing and moving forward and not sitting in the toxic cycles or patterns that you've already been participating in.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to start. This person, the way that they write it to us, it sounds like you're noticing your, the behaviors that you're calling into question right now and you're seeking support with seem like they are coming from a really reactive point of view, right? Like it sounds like a lot of these behaviors or traits that they say are to be sort of assessed for narcissistic tendencies are coming from a place of like moments when you're in conflict with your partner, moments when you're feeling maybe defensive, reactive. And I think that probably relates a lot to the avoidance of feeling shame that you were just touching on, Alex. But so I think it's important to sort of understand the difference. And this might take some time and maybe requires a little bit of support from a trained professional. But are my reactions because I truly don't care about my partner's experience or their feelings or what's going on for them? Or am I looking to defend myself because I'm avoiding possible emotional pain on my own end?
Right.
That would include a lot of insight. So again, I really recommend asking for support with someone who's trained to understand what the difference between narcissism and a trauma response might be. But I think like taking an interest in the way that Alex is suggesting of some of those key moments that feel really bad when you look back on it. I applaud this person for no longer being in what felt like a reciprocal toxic relationship with another person. Whoever ended that relationship, however it ended, you both set each other free. So I think that with endings like these. It allows for new beginnings. There's absolutely recovery on the other side of these things. Keep asking yourself these questions. Be kind to yourself in the process. I will say though, if your heightened awareness as to how this is impacting other people, chances are your behaviors are not coming from a truly diagnosable narcissistic place. But if you are only looking for recovery so that you are never to be considered as a narcissist and you can continue to get what you want, maybe that's a different story. But
agreed. Yeah.
Not the feeling I was getting when I read the question.
No. Yeah, I think that's something that's really important to point out, because I get a lot of messages that are like, am I the narcissist? Are they the narcissist? Like, are they really a narcissist? Like, so many people want to tell me, like, these are all of the details that's happened to me in the last 5 years. Can you tell me if this person's a narcissist? And that's why it's like, my message to the world is this. Look, a diagnosis or not, because by the way, the majority of the time, those who are diagnosably narcissistic don't really get a diagnosis, because in order to do that, they have to get their butt into a psychiatrist's office. And that means that they're self-reflecting or at least seeking help in some way, which rarely happens. It does happen. And there are people who are in treatment for their diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder for long periods of time, and they make progress. And I want to create space for that talk, because it's true. And I think that there's this message around that if you're a narcissist, you deserve to go burn in hell. And I don't agree with that at all. Because if I'm being really honest, we need to understand that narcissism, it's a shame-based disorder. They're so terrified of being seen as not perfect, as not good enough, that they have these gnarly defense patterns and trauma responses that turn into abusive tactics for their own gain, to hide the things, hide from the feelings they don't want to feel, and to protect their reputation. So when you think about it, I pity them. I really do. So that's one conversation. But the other thing is, for the person who's like, are they narcissistic? Am I narcissistic? I challenge you to think this way. What am I going to do now that I'm aware that this person treats me this way? What am I going to do now that I'm aware that I'm treating people this way? That's really the two questions we should be asking ourselves.
Yeah.
The end.
Absolutely. It's a good place to start.
Huge.
Beautiful. Okay. We hope that this is at least a good jump off place to start some of those conversations with yourself or with loved ones, people that you trust. And I hope that it leads you to seeking more support. Again, like, we want to be able to help as much as we can, but our job here is not as in depth as the support that you may need. So looking into coaches or providers like Alex, or licensed therapists is we always recommend. So good luck. Okay. Bachelor
Let's
in Paradise.
go. We're diving. We're going to Mexico.
This week was wild.
Girl, guys, I sent Brie a text last night when I finished watching, and I was like, I cannot wait to talk to you about this. It's gonna be so juicy. Get your juice cups out, everybody. Sippy sip.
Can I just name something? And I'm comfortable being in the minority of this opinion. But what the fuck are Ashley and Jared doing here? What are they doing here?
I kind of like it. But I agree. It's like, okay, but really, like, what was the purpose of the producers of bringing you here? Because, like, this isn't the point of the show. So I'm like, are they just trying to, like, throw out this message of, like, look, Paradise can work, which I'm gonna holler back to what I said last week. They didn't get together on Paradise, so Paradise didn't work for them.
Did not work. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't understand the purpose of them being there, but I like them because they're OGs. So I'm like, oh.
Don't get me wrong. They are hilarious. Ashley
to each their own.
Ashley is hilarious. Them as a couple. I will say that if there's something that I could applaud is, I love how realistic the nature of their connection is portrayed. Yeah. Like, I don't totally support all what I know of how they got together, because it's just feels like someone that should have left after the first or second time they were said, "Hey, girl, you're not for me." I do feel that way, but glad that they're here. Glad that they found bliss and happiness. I think that they should, if they're looking to create space for romance in their life while they continue to develop their beautiful family, they probably needed to do a little bit more than, get support from ABC. But, free trip, free everything, good for you.
Plus a paycheck.
Exactly. I loved being able to see them like fart in bed.
Me too.
I did love that.
Yeah.
I love to see how their connection was sort of like, we're truly like best friends. We're best friends. And they didn't say this, but I'm saying it for them. If you are best friends in your relationship, that's amazing. And you need to make an effort. Both parts of you, both individuals need to make an effort to facilitate romance. You are not
100%.
going to feel romantic
Nope.
all year long just because you fell in love. It is
No.
something that you actively have to work on. So you could be best friends and have the best connection in the world. But if you are not creating space, creating boundaries in your life from work, from family life to reconnect as a couple, you will lose your relationship and you will only have your friendship.
Yeah. And
Ouch.
I think, yeah, ouch, fuck. And it stings. And it really hits home for me because it's basically my life right now.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay because this is an important topic. This is an important topic. So many people say like, I want to be married to my best friend. And then they get in a relationship with their best friend and they get so comfortable that they lose sight of, and this is still a partnership, and this is still a romantic relationship, and this is still someone I want to make love to and share my soul with. And it's like, fuck, I'm getting goosies talking about it. But
Goosies.
that's what it takes. Like, it's so, friendships are the foundation of a relationship, and it can be just that, the foundation.
Yeah.
And then what? Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a beautiful place to build from, but you must build from it. And so I like that there's a part of me that's like, I'm glad they're going after, like, cool, we have this weekend, but that's not sustainable. Like, how can you incorporate this into your day-to-day life, Jared and Ashley? Like, you guys have enough money to have a nanny, once a week, or maybe an au pair so you guys can like really be able to connect and have sex and not, all of that.
And
so like,
y'all, like this can even be done. Let's bring this to like real world, like working middle class families. Like you can have this in the smallest of gestures in your life. If one half of your partnership is a person who is always cleaning the house, if you have a space while they're out running an errand and you clean up a space of your shared home and noticeably different, and you do that for them, what an act of love and like
for
respect
real.
to say like, hey, I know that this is something you typically do. I did this. Or you don't need to be doing it to ask for a cookie, but like they will notice that and that will make them feel seen. That will make them feel supported. That may depend on each person's specific love languages. Find out what those are with each other and find small attainable opportunities to do that throughout your life and your relationship together, even when you're tired.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring it back to that because like back when I used to work with couples, this conversation came up a lot. Like, we don't have sex because we have a kid and blah blah blah, and it's like, and we're tired and this and that, and it's like we need to talk about scheduling sex then. And so many people get turned off by this idea of like, oh, on Mondays we have sex, right? It's like Mean Girls. On Wednesdays we wear pink, but. If that's you and you're like, I will never schedule sex with my partner, here's the deal. Scheduling does not mean that there's no romance, right? Like, it just means that you both are committed to that romantic time and that sexual connection on that day. Okay. Yeah. Now, and I said this all the time and I will continue to say it. Let's say you do that. Mondays are our day to have sex. That means you wake up and maybe you do like a little touchy, like a little kissy. Okay, have a great day at work. Maybe you send a nudie pic while they're at work, right? Maybe you send a dirty text. And like you build the suspense throughout the day, right? It's not just like, okay, 7 p.m., take your clothes off. Like, that's not the vibe. Obviously, that's not going to work for anybody.
Thank you.
It is something that for couples who are really busy or for couples who have children and like they're exhausted, you need to do that. Your choices are continue doing what you're doing, which clearly isn't working for you, or try scheduling it and see what happens. Yeah. Like, you have nothing to lose. The worst case scenario, you end up where you are right now. Cool. Then you try something else.
Absolutely. What I hear you say when you say that is create space for it. If you have to be as type A and schedule it, so be it. Create space for it and then activate the sexual energy that works for the uniquely two of you. Whatever, however it is that you like to flirt. Put effort and energy into inviting that into your space, whatever makes sense, and you will find yourself getting down on a Monday, weekly.
Yes, ready to go.
Yep.
So that's it for Ashley and Jared.
Okay.
Cool.
Rodney is fresh on the scene. I got to get your take on this because I say this, but I'm also going to tell you what I think first. I think Rodney is fresh off the scene. He wants to take out Teddy. She was definitely like his number one pick in the immediacy, and Teddy leaves. You know, no one expected it. Andrew certainly didn't fucking expect it. Rodney certainly didn't expect it. Rodney's a gentleman. He just makes himself available to like take on the rest of the evening to get to know people instead of just like closing his eyes and picking someone randomly to take on a date. Lace jumps on that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a king. Lace jumps on that. And listen, sometimes it's about numbers and time, you know, like sometimes it's just about like, I know Jill really wanted to get to talk to him. Well, Jill, you didn't put that energy forward fast enough. Lace got on that. She found an opportunity. She turned her flirt on. Listen, if there's anything that I've learned about Lace so far is that she is how she feels. She's a shark. She will turn on whatever energy and more or less whatever features of her persona that she knows that she needs to in order to go after what she's looking for. And you can't fault the girl for it. You really can't. She went for it. She turned on the flirt heavy for Rodney, and Rodney's leaning in. I am curious what he's vibing off of when he talks to her. I don't know what it is.
Sponsored by alcohol.
Yeah, but we do see them for the rest of the next couple of days. Like they continue to be really close. Yeah. They continue to be heavily in their flirting. And now effectively Rodney is at this juncture. Rodney's not talking to other people romantically. What do you think?
No. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Honestly, what went through my head, they were like, it's midnight. Are we going to go on this date? And I'm like, wait, it's midnight and you're just about to go out. So like my mind went to, so great. All of this is happening in the middle of the night when these people are already intoxicated and they're trying to have intentional conversations and like connect with one another. And it's not in good environments. So that's personally why I do think that Rodney and Lace like kind of just collided and happened to connect because it was what it was. And I do also think that Rodney is like, appealing to like appeasing Lace for the sake of appeasing Lace. Do I think that they're going to be in a committed relationship for real? No. Do I think if another girl walks down that to the beach that's a better fit for Rodney, he'd go on a date? Hell yeah. I don't foresee him and Lace being committed and only exchanging roses with each other the rest of the time there. I really do not see that happening. And I'm ready to eat my words. But yeah, I think what Rodney's an ace, like I said. Like he very much, instead of jumping the gun and just going on the date for the sake of going on the date, was an awesome human being and was like, let me just get to know someone because I don't want to make anyone feel like second choice, which so great. And then what happened. And Jill, it was interesting because she was so flirty with him. And then she pulled like, it was just weird how that like segued. Like he went to go get a drink, Lace was there, and then boom, it like all fell apart like with him and Jill.
She missed the window. She missed the window.
It's like, why didn't you go over there with him to get a drink? You know, like just little things like that where potentially that could have worked out. Although I am happy that what ends up happening with Jill later on in the week.
Yeah.
So it's all good in the end, but in that moment, ooh. Yeah, him and Lace making out was cringe, man. I could not. I was like, stop.
I haven't really sat with why it makes me feel weird, but I think that everyone agrees because even Wells had sort of called out, he goes, there's always a couple. You're just sort of like, how did these two end up together? What makes it work? And they're just there, they're together and they're doing it. So
yeah,
who knows?
I have a note
Okay.
here that's like, there's a part of me that's happy Lay's connected with someone, but I also don't want her with Rodney.
Those are my exact feelings.
Like
Those
I
are my
have like this
exact
dual,
feelings.
like, yay, Lace, but also no.
No.
But I love Wells so much. I love how in his confessional he's like, so, there's always one pair that's just so wacky, and you're like, how did these two get together? And it's gonna
Yeah.
be Rodney and Luce. And I was like
Yeah, he
dying.
said lose.
Because he knows her name is Lacey. He's always saying that in all, irony,
Yeah.
alluding back to Logan. But like, oh
Logan.
shit, man, that was great.
So funny. Yeah,
Okay.
it was such a good subtle dig.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are about to embark on, because in the same evening, we have
Yes.
Genevieve and
So
Aaron come back from their date, which not relevant right now, but was also shared with Shanae and James.
James.
So
Yep.
all four of them come back from their like 12-hour date, and Genevieve, last we saw from her, she was surprised at how much she really liked Aaron. She really liked the date. She felt really good. You could tell that she was like feeling like herself, and was like, oh shit. I do wonder, there was a part of me that was like, Genevieve, how does it feel to be on the other side of someone going on a date after connecting with you? Like, she gave Justin so much shit for coming back and not being 110% certain which way he wanted to go. And it led to all of the conflict that they had for the next 24 hours, or I guess 12 hours, until she got called for a new date. But she comes back, she pulls Justin immediately, and they talk, is the only word that I can use to describe. They have discourse.
Yeah. Yeah. She keeps trying to explain to him that like physical affection's really important to her, aka that's my love language, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I did not like how Justin like belittled her and like her
Yeah.
needs, basically.
Yeah.
Like he sarcastic. It starts when like he said she starts mentioning Aaron kissed me more than you, and he's like, oh, so we're counting kisses now, and she gets triggered by that, and she ends up raising her voice, but then Justin goes to belittle her and is like, 3 kisses this morning makes you feel more wanted, Genevieve. And then she like goes to interrupt, and he's like, stop raising your voice. Like, listen to yourself. Just relax. We don't need to get worked up, which I felt was really fucked up of him, because he's not seeing how he's contributing when he belittles her, when he is, basically dismissing what she's trying to say is like, my love language is physical affection, and I'm getting more of that from Aaron. And that is making me feel special, which is what I need in a relationship. And instead of him being like, hello, open to feedback and constructive criticism, he's trying to, again, dispute the fact that that should matter, right? Like, he's like,
Right.
really, 3 kisses? Like, really? We spent
Yeah.
all day together on that first day. And like, okay, cool, but that was days ago, So it was icky, and then I really did not like, because now the roles have very much reversed, and now that it's Justin's birthday, when
Oh God.
originally
How did this happen?
Justin, I know,
How did
right?
the timing
It's like
of
the
this
stars
happen?
align, and I gave Justin like kudos for like getting her a specific cake that was so specific to her likes, of cake, and here he throws it in her face and is like, so am I not going to get a kiss on my birthday? Which I literally wanted to throw up. I was like, that is the most manipulative thing anyone could say.
You could see
Like,
it in her reaction. The way that she reacted looked to me like, oh, the shit was dark. So
it was so dark.
You're exactly right. It was manipulative. He's like, can I at least get a hug on my birthday? And then she gives, the way that she turned to him, she didn't even make eye contact with him. She looked like a small child who was just instructed to do something that she didn't want to
Fawning.
do.
Like, let me just do this so that you leave me alone.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he's like, I'm not going to get a kiss on my birthday. They kiss. It leads to like a deeper
A
makeout.
makeout sesh.
Aaron's watching it. He's like pissed off. He's like, I wouldn't have done this to her. This says a lot to me about her that she would do this to me. Obviously not getting a full scope of what the conversation was like. And it was incredibly manipulative.
Yeah.
And I want to take a pause and talk about that before we talk about how Genevieve and Aaron navigated what happened there. But I thought that, like, Justin really seemed like he was really ticked off by the idea of Genevieve giving him energy that he was just sort of crucified for by her. You know, like, he's like, we needed to see if, like you were coming at me for going on a date, but then you went on a date and that made me feel weird. And they were just already stuck in a really toxic cycle. They're like, we're trying to get back to night one. Night one was like narwhals and croc gibbets. Like,
Yeah.
night one was nothing. You flirted, you made out. And if that's the best part of your time spent together since, girls, give it up. Give it up. Let it go.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. So I feel that it comes from a place, and granted, we didn't get to see everything. It comes from a place where he's like, I'm doing anything to feel that we're connecting while we're just in the heat of a conflict. And I'm also trying to appeal to her just recent request of physical affection. All of it was gross. I agree with you. It felt incredibly manipulative. Didn't like it. Didn't want to watch it. And that was hard for her. She had moments after that where she was like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I
She
shouldn't
felt
have
shame.
said that. Yeah.
Now, I want to applaud Genevieve. She actually fucking handled this like a champ. I was impressed with her. Because she felt her shame, owned her shame, and immediately went and pulled Aaron and owned it all. And I was like, fuck yeah, girl. Because, like, one, national television could be very humiliating, right?
Yeah.
To, like, do that, have to have these conversations, have to admit I fucked up. Like, there's a lot there. Like, I really applaud her because that's uncomfortable. So are we good to move on? Because I want to move on to the contrast in the conversation with Aaron. So so she goes to pull Aaron, and she immediately says, like, first I need to say I'm sorry. Like, she leads with that, which anyone listening, watching, and us, like me too, like we gotta start there. If we know that I'm feeling some emotions come up. Because it's just so, like, she just did so well. Like, I really want to, like, deliver a gold trophy because she led with the apology and the ownership of how she fucked up before she made the request of, like, I like you, right? Because if she started there, I really like you and blah, 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 the first thing Aaron would have said is, but you just went and kissed that guy, right? And it would have created more friction. But instead she's like, I know he saw. I know what I did was wrong. I know if the roles reversed, that would really hurt me. And so she starts there. I'm sorry for what I did. And right away, you can see the difference in communication with her and Aaron versus Justin and her. And I thought it was beautiful to kind of watch because of the stark contrast of how Justin, Genevieve triggering each other and getting on this merry-go-round of crazy. Whereas Aaron, you know, for as bro-y as he is, he has some emotional intelligence. Is it 100% like no, like there's still growth. All of us still have growth. But as far as emotional maturity and him like validating her and him being honest and not like raising his voice, but still being like, that really sucked for me to see. And like, I don't know you that well. So like, that was like, felt like a character thing to me. And I'm just, and then as she provided context, and she stated what Justin said, Aaron was like, had a whole shift. He's like, ooh, that's kind of gross to say. It feels manipulative.
I loved that he had that ticker.
Me too.
I love that that was on his radar where he was like, that's not cool. That's not normal.
No.
That's not positive.
Yeah. And so then once there's been some clarity around how the kiss happened, why it happened, you know, I feel Aaron, this wasn't said, but I can feel Aaron when he used that vocabulary of that sounds manipulative to me. He probably felt like, okay, Genevieve felt pressured to do that. Like what, you know,
and he was right.
And he was right. And then he says, yeah, I really like you. And tomorrow's a new day. And like they kissed. They had a great evening. The next morning they wake up and are like immediately, you know, moving on and coupling, you know, doing their thing. And that, my friends, is healthy fucking conflict resolution. Like, it was uncomfortable, and yet they validated each other. She immediately took ownership. He was thankful of that ownership. It allowed him to be vulnerable and express what he was feeling. She didn't take offense to it because she was very much looking at things, her actions, from his perspective. And then look at the emotional vulnerability and intimacy that developed because of that. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, it was sexy to watch,
Yeah.
like, in a weird way, you know?
I totally, no, it was like, their patterns were just treading towards a healthier way. I also want to
Absolutely.
add that, like, the fact that he forgave her when he says, tomorrow's a new day, we start again, and didn't continue to punish her for what was already
No.
discussed last night.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a major green flag.
The punishing
sure.
people for how we feel and like being our emotions has been really front of mind for me lately. And it's so true. It's so true. And we need to put a stop to that. Like, if you are, and kind of going back to what we opened the show with like, I'm angry and I need to let you know that I'm angry, right? Like, I'm going to allow myself to react so that you feel the way that I'm feeling, because in order for me to feel seen and heard, I need to make you emotionally feel the same way that I'm feeling right now, right? That is stereotypical emotional manipulation. So it's like, we need to put that down. Like, I'm allowed to have my feelings, and the other person doesn't need to feel what I'm feeling for us to have a conversation, right? There needs to be mutual respect about each other's feelings, though. And that's the difference. People don't understand the difference between mutual respect of each other's feelings and me forcing you to feel the way that I feel so that we can actually converse. Because if you're not feeling the way that I'm not feeling seen or heard. So I need to get even with you before we can even move forward. And that's that will lead you nowhere except more depression, more anxiety, more trauma, more broken relationships, less comfortability, less confidence, less everything. Like, fuck that shit. We're not doing that anymore, people.
It's done. We're not doing it.
It's done. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was so proud of them. Like, seriously, I thought it was one of the healthiest, if not the healthiest, conflict resolution I've ever seen on anything on Bachelor franchise.
I also want to use this as like a way to support conflict early on in a connection with new people. A lot of us really try to wait to have any sort of confrontation in new relationships because we're like,
Right.
I don't want to fuck things up. I don't want to make it weird. Like, maybe it'll change, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're doing a lot of preserving the honeymoon era, but the Genevieve and Aaron are an example at this particular time where they've already engaged in a little bit of conflict, and it's allowed both of them to feel heard and understood, and a resolution was found and forgiveness was given with no contract attached, right? And now the two of them have sort of a model for what conflict feels like in their dynamic, and they can feel free to engage back in it and be less afraid of what that might be like.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about how like many shy away from conflict in the early stages of dating. And I say this all the time, hold your boundaries. If something comes up, now is the time to navigate it, because people tend to be on their best behavior in the early stages of dating.
Yeah.
And so if you are already seeing something come up, the next step is to confront it, to see how they handle the conflict, instead of wait till you're so emotionally invested where you're now going to justify shit, right? It's like, what's easier, to find someone's true colors right now, 2 weeks into dating someone, right? And make that intentional, conscious choice, or to kick the can down the road, hide, ignore the red flags because, we want to feel connected and loved or have sex or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, I've been stuck in this relationship now for 20 years because in those first 2 weeks, I didn't want to see the red flags. I didn't want to have the conflict resolution conversations. I didn't want to set the boundaries. It's like, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
I have made this mistake a lot.
Me
I've made
too.
This mistake a lot.
Me too.
Very conflict avoidant.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it really isn't. I'll say that I have been able to date more people and get closer to the experiences that I want in dating because I've committed to trying to call out the stuff that I didn't like earlier and often. And it's led of the relationships that continued on for a little bit, better connected relationships, and the ones where it didn't work out, that was why.
Yeah. And
we cut ties.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's like, you know, we tell ourselves this lie that like if we're dating someone, we get so excited about the future of like what that could mean, like how like the fallout of the relationship. Are we going to be married for the rest of our lives or not? That we think if we are dating someone and we break up with them, we're further away from the relationship that we want, but you're actually closer, right? If you date intentionally and you date confidently and you're like, I'm going to show up like the goddess that I am, like the god that I am, however you identify, like the badass, whatever, then you are going to be closer and closer every time you date someone, every time you hold your standards. That is going to escalate with each person you date, not the opposite. You're not getting further away from your person. You're getting closer to your person every time that you show up and hold that energy of like, this is what I want for my life. You're either going to make it or not. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're bad or less than. It just means we're not for each other, right?
Yep.
Like, hold the energy.
Hold it. Okay. Then we
Next.
see, Genevieve confronts Justin. And I didn't take too many notes because I was just like, this has to be over. I think Justin was feeling quite defensive in how it went. He didn't like that Genevieve was, quick to be like, okay, you know what? I'm having this. I didn't like what happened to us last night. I want to date Aaron. I want to focus on that. He didn't like that. He was getting defensive. And so he created a version of his experience to sort of just fault Genevieve. And I saw in her character that this is not a person that I want to be with. So I'm all set. And that's fine. We do that. We're human beings. I get it. But I wish that there was like an objective lens here that could cut in and be like, no, dude, like you contributed to the things that you identified as character flaw issues in Genevieve. So that's my only note.
Yeah. And I think that if you go back and watch the two interactions, you see that like, because Justin was triggering Genevieve, it brought out, and I say this all the time, I'm like, if you're dating someone and they're bringing out like not the best qualities of you because of the trauma responses or the triggers that they're bringing up, and like it's to a point to where they refuse to see their side in it, pay attention to that. Because if they're not willing to hold their side of like, oh, this is how I'm triggering you to get that behavior out of you, let me fix this, then it's always going to be a cycle, right? It takes two to tango, always. So yeah, I really didn't like how Justin spoke to her again that morning. Genevieve's not perfect either, but like she's not as combative with some of the things. Like Justin literally was like, you're so disrespectful, Genevieve. You're so disrespectful. It's like, excuse me? What is your point with saying that, first of all? Second of all, can you say it in a completely different way? Like you're not fathering her.
Nope.
Like, ew, bro, like get off her back. It really, I wanted to go through the TV because Justin used to be one of my favorites. And now I'm like, I'm voting you off the island. Go.
Yeah, I know.
Be gone.
I don't think this is a good setting for him.
Me neither.
He needs to look into, I remember when he was on Katie's season and his family came up, Justin gets guarded very quickly. It was something that they repeated a lot. He guards himself fast. So I think he and I probably have a lot in common in some avoidant tactics, keep your guard up.
You feel you're avoidantly attached?
Yeah, I do. And I don't think that it comes from childhood. I think it comes from like my relationship traumas. But yeah, it's something that I've been working on. And it's like the reason why I'm pushing myself to engage in conflict that I really don't like and in confrontation that I really don't like. But yeah, I'm naturally quite avoidant of confrontation.
I want to talk to you about this later privately.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite.
I know.
So I want to like just have a girl talk around like how that shows up.
Do you disagree with me? Do you think that that's like not what you get?
No, I could see that. I don't think you're anxiously attached. I probably would have labeled you as pretty secure.
But I don't am, and I'm avoidant. Can you be both?
That's okay. Absolutely. And guess what? People ask me this all the time. Can I be both? Yeah, depending on who we're with will trigger certain things in us too, right? So it's
Yeah.
like there's sometimes, I can be anxiously attached, but then in certain situations, in certain dynamics, I can all of a sudden get really avoidant, right? Because of
Yeah.
the person that is stimulating that within me. So I would love to just like chit chat on that
Yeah,
later.
I also know that like even tasks that I find to be like overwhelming to me, even though like once I'm doing it, I can do it and I get it done and it's over. I'm like always avoidant of those tasks that make me feel physically uncertain about my skills or about my ability to do it. Like,
Isn't that an ADHD thing though?
I don't know. No, 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 because I can be really task focused. Maybe that's part of the systems that I've put in place, but it's a feeling. I'm avoiding the feeling that's coming up that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I do that with confrontation. I do that with conflict. I've worked really hard to try to lean into confrontation lately because I know that it's good for me, and I'm getting better at it because I'm experiencing the benefits of it. But
Yeah.
that's why I bring this up, because I think that I think that he and I can garner. This is me, I'd say 5 to 7 years ago, that dating part of my life. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't know how to deal with it. I'm getting out. I'm leaving. I'm done.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Yeah.
And not only am I getting out, I'm spinning this in my head to see that you are the problem. This was your bad.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything wrong. That was disrespectful.
Yes.
How dare you do that to me? And I'm out. I'm doing
Yeah.
us both a favor, dog. I'm out. That was
That's
me for a
textbook
lot.
avoidant. Yeah, that's textbook avoidant.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, and I see that in him.
Yeah. Well, because look at what so Justin leaves this conversation all like, holier than thou from Genevieve and is like, "Ugh, you're so disrespectful, Genevieve. You're so," and I also like, stop shaming her, bro. Fuck you. I got mad. I got mad. Alex got a little mad at that. Okay. And so here's the deal. Justin goes to the guys and is like, by the way, I don't really mean that. Fuck you. Humans are humans. But that was very much the energy I had after watching that.
Coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah. Ooh, spicy. Like, Brie and I were voice noting earlier before we hopped on, and she was like, my jersey came out there because she got upset about something.
Like a little serpent.
We're a little spicy. We're a little spicy today here on Ditch the Script. So then he goes over to the guys and is like, I don't want to be with her after what I just saw. And it's so... And I'm like, bro, get off your motherfucking throne, homie. You contributed to that,
Exactly.
A better, more emotionally mature response would be like, after the conflict we've been through a few times, it's clear that we can't process conflict well together, so we're just not the right match. She's not the girl for me.
Yeah.
That would have been like, okay, I'll give you that. Like 100%. That's correct. That's accurate. So yeah, like, meh. Then we pan over to Shanae, who's also in her own love triangle with James and Logan. And she feels Logan's hit or miss, and James is like showing up for her.
Okay, but I want to make a comment about that. And this is only what we've been able to see. We haven't seen a lot of James and Shanae. But what we have seen, so like I'm leaving lots of room for there to be lots of information that was not televised.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is like James and her are just like flirting and like they're engaging in like first and second date talk.
Yeah.
Like what do you like when you're outside of here? Like, not that that's not appropriate for early dating, but I wouldn't call that all in.
No.
From as Shanae describes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out if James has used that vocabulary with her. Because if so, that's why she's saying that. But there's a difference, like, there's a part of me that feels the show pushes people to be quote unquote all in just to be able to stay on the show. So it's hard. Like, if I was Shanae and if James was saying something like that to me, I would be like, oh, really? Like, tell me more about that. What do you think we have together so far that's like special? Like, what do you think we're building on? And like, kind of ask some clarifying questions onto why he feels quote unquote all in when we're talking about like our favorite color and favorite food and what our routine is like at home, like, there's depth there. And I'm not saying that you can't have those conversations with someone and like be interested and curious about someone, but that infatuation and curiosity is very different than like, oh my gosh, we have the foundation of like a solid potential romantic relationship here, you know? So I would want to dig deeper with James, but likewise with Logan, like they haven't really dug deep, and Logan has been super passive and then pulls out all the stops in this little cute date night thing he sets up for her later. Which I thought it was cute. He used to be a snorkel instructor.
I thought that was so cute. I was like imagining him. I don't know where he's from, but like being
one of
in
my
South
near-death
Florida.
experiences was snorkeling.
Oh, that's not
at
cute.
Disney
and that's
World.
Not fun. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like 10. The long story short, like my face was between like the kid size and the adult size, so they gave me the adult size, but then it slid over like as I was like floating across the pool looking at the pretty fishes and sharks, the slid over my nose and mouth, so I couldn't breathe.
To suffocate.
Yeah, and so I was like flailing and freaking out, and then the lifeguard's like, "Stop kicking!" And it's like, "Bitch, I'm drowning over here. Someone help me!"
Like,
and
where did you get your lifeguard certification?
Eventually, they came over. I mean, you're not supposed to kick in a snorkel pool because it freaks the fish out and they go away. That's why.
But you're also like
I'm
a lifeguard is
drowning.
a lifeguard is trained
breathe.
to observe. Yeah, a lifeguard is trained to observe kicking as a sign of distress.
Yeah, you would know because Bree used to be a lifeguard. Guys, you didn't know this, but she was a lifeguard.
That's right. But that's why I'm like, who the fuck trained this person? That's so bad.
They came over on their little like lifeguard floaty, and then they fixed it and then like tightened it, and they were like, "Okay, stop kicking." And I was like, "Oh no, not to kick, just help me breathe."
I'm so sorry. I'm glad you're okay.
Me too. But anyway, so I needed Logan's instructing probably.
Logan would have never let that happen to you. I thought that I did think that his date was really cute. I love that he went out of his way to. I wish that he'd done something a little bit sooner. I think that Shanae's just sort of like allowing them to measure up, and she's just kind of sitting as like the trophy in the middle, which I don't know. Yeah. I don't know enough about all of that from these 2 episodes to know like what she is or isn't doing, but I don't like it.
Right.
Like she's expecting them to just actively pursue her, but like I don't know who she is actively pursuing.
Yeah, and like I mean, also where did that? Sorry to interrupt, but like I just want to say like. Please, like, can you speak up to what your needs are? Be like, Logan, if you are still interested in me, this is what I need from you, and make it really clear of what that is, and then sit back and wait and see, you know? Like, I just don't know if that was communicated clearly enough.
Agreed. I agree. So, we don't know more about what's going on with that just now, but what we can infer from what we have been teased with is that like they get deeper and deeper into their love triangle. So more on that in future experiences. Before we talk about Michael and Sierra, let's just take a brief positive break with our sponsors. Just kidding. With
future sponsors here, TBD.
Yeah. Brandon and Serene.
Yeah. Okay. I fucking died when so they go on a date. Sorry. Am I jumping?
You're jumping. Yeah, you're jumping.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying it.
Listen, let's build it up.
I'm taking some steps back.
It starts with Brandon getting a date card.
Yes.
And he makes this girl feel chosen. He's like, beautiful lady. Will you go on a date with me? And I love this. And just a comment here. When sometimes people are in a couple, sort of like, okay, when we were watching Snog, Marry, Pie with Love Island, and they're like, obviously I'm going to marry you because you're my boyfriend, because you're my boyfriend. It is so easy to make your partner not feel special because it's something that would be expected. Like, duh, Brandon's not going to take his date card and like be like, Jill, do you want to hang out for 12 hours? Like, no. Yeah. He looks at the person who already knew that this date was hers as soon as she heard his name, and he still made her feel special.
Yeah.
Moves. That's a move.
King. Yes.
Yeah, king shit.
Love it.
Fuck. So I know. he invites her to the date, and then she disappears. They both go get ready. He comes down. He's feeling himself. He's in his suave Mr. Man energy. I love his little dance.
Yeah,
He's
me
doing
too.
his little thing.
Like, can
It's
I
so
tell you
fucking
something
cute.
super honest? Like,
Yes.
okay, men's jewelry, I'm really picky about, depending on the level of, like, there's some men's jewelry that I'm like, that's fucking hot, and there's some where I'm like, okay, no, that's not my vibe. Brandon chooses some jewelry occasionally, not always, that's not my vibe. And in that moment, he came down and I was like, I'm not super a fan of some of this, but I just really like you. And
Yeah.
that's what matters. Like, I think there's so many times where we get caught up on our type and like what we do or don't like about a person. But it's like, if we're choosing to be in relationship, there's going to be like surface level aspects that we can get over, like the jewelry someone chooses to wear.
Yep.
If their humanness and is just amazing. And Brandon is that. Like, he comes down and owns who he is, and like jewelry, whatever or not, and whatever, he's just like, I'm me, I'm comfortable with me, I feel good about myself, and that is the sexiest energy anyone can have.
Yeah. Would I have chosen my man to wear a like satin black button down shirt with white shorts? No. No, I wouldn't have. But if my man came down and he was like looking, smelling, feeling like $1 million just because
and doing
it
a
made
cute
him
little
feel good,
dance.
I'm not going to make a suggestion that he changes his shorts. No.
For me, it's the dance. Yeah.
The dance was so cute. Okay, so then Serene comes around the corner and everyone's like, is that your girl? Which, like, duh. And then he's like, oh, shit. And he goes over to her, and it's just the way that he makes her feel. I mean, a lot of it was a natural, organic reaction because Serene looks gorgeous and she looks really happy. And he's just like taken aback by like the vibes. Like, he's just so excited to see her. She looks so good. And he wears it all over himself. No part of him seemed to be trying to put on a reaction of like, I'm going to try to make her feel good, or no part of him was trying to like keep his cool and be like, you look really beautiful. You know, he just was like, shit, that's my date? Damn. No. You know what I mean? Like, so cute. She felt so special.
Yeah. And he got teary-eyed at how beautiful she is. So it just was like, it was just so tender and like such a beautiful moment to see them like be so just like, again, comfortable in their connection, comfortable in their individual selves, and like so vulnerable with like even like just the way she looked and how excited he was for the rest of that night. Like, he's good about showing his emotions, and I love that about Brandon. Thank you.
If I want y'all to keep this energy in your relationships, not just Brandon and Serene, but like everyone who's listening to this in your relationship. It is easy to get tired and to sort of like get used to your partner, but it doesn't matter what your gender is. If you are a person in your partnership that puts a lot of effort and work into looking like elevating how they look for a date night or something special or an event, like please notice it. Please notice it. Tell them like, you look so good. We all really want to be shown that we're wanted and that we're seen and that we're valued. Again, especially for those of us that put money and maintenance into how we look. Sometimes like, we're not doing it for you, but it is really nice to hear from the person that we fancy and that we've chosen to commit ourselves and our lives to, that like, you think that we're fine. Please.
For real. Yeah. Because everyone likes to hear that. Everyone likes to hear that. All genders. It's like, but who doesn't? So Genevieve says that. Everyone wants to feel wanted and pursued and desired. Like, that's true. So how can we meet that need for one another? Because just because you're in an official committed relationship, and that, low-key pet peeve of mine is when people say that. It's like, you know, hey baby, I need some reassurance. Can you tell me and the response is like, I'm in a relationship with you, aren't I? It's like,
gross.
No, gross. Yeah, the ick factor times 100. It's like, no, that's actually not enough. So come again. Like, Tell
Yeah.
me that you care about me. Tell me that you do think I'm attractive. You know what I mean? It's like there's a difference between being codependent and thriving off that and not feeling okay about yourself unless you're constantly getting that, and
Yeah.
a healthy relationship where you feel that within yourself, that need, you communicate it, and your partner's like, yeah, baby, you're fucking my person, and look at how hot you are, and the
Yeah.
sex we had the other day was so great, and like, by the way, thank you for always cooking and cleaning after me because I know that pisses you off sometimes. Like, we can make it very human. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be this like picture perfect Nicholas Sparks novel of reassurance. Like, do it in your own way, but like, do it for
Yeah.
your partner.
100%. Okay, so they go on this date and they have this obviously beautiful romantic setting. They're literally like sitting
So
in
magical.
they're sitting in like a shallow pool. So they're sitting at like a dinner table in a shallow pool, which honestly it would fuck up all of my senses and my like survival like instincts.
I was gonna invite you to do one with me.
I mean, girl, listen, I'll do it. I'm a big
Let's
yes
go.
on the dinner in a baby pool, but like there's a part of me that's like, should I be sitting down? Like my feet are wet, but my butt is dry. Like, am I gonna like what's gonna happen here? Like, don't splash
Am I
me.
in a
Like, what's gonna
splash
happen?
zone? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would splash you.
What I think something that I wanted to bring up is like, if you've watched Brandon on Michelle's season, like he's very expressive with his words. He really does not shy away from saying with words how he feels, and he's good at it. And I love that. Not everyone is good at that. You don't need to be good at that to let people know how you feel. You can do it in a lot of different ways, but this is Brandon's strength. And I want to separate something because I think sometimes there was a sort of a guttural response for me when I was watching this where I was like, oh my God, it's kind of feels familiar to when I feel love bombed, when I have been love bombed, like someone who is so expressive and is just like, I'm falling in love with you. And it feels really early. But what I had to check for myself and to remember is that Brandon has spent loads of time with Serene one-on-one on a shared beach with a bunch of other people up until this time. They like the environment really does catapult like the intensity of connections that are thriving. And this is just how he expresses his gratitude of where he's at with her. And I needed to hold and respect space for that to be true and not to just be like, he's love bombing her. Because what I do know is it's a mutual experience for the two of them.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think I might have even said that about Brandon on our first season when we were unpacking. Yeah, with Michelle. I think I might have said like, a year ago when we were doing that, I was like, it sounds a little love bomby, but we'll see. And like, that's the thing is like we need to understand that love bombing occurs when there hasn't been that the words that are being said and the time that's been spent together are mismatched, right? If you've been on one date, two dates, and you have someone telling you they're falling in love with you and that they want to move in together and that you're the most amazing person they've ever met and that you're the future of their life, that's love bombing. Because like the amount of time that we've spent together and what you're telling me are two completely very different things, right? Whereas in the context of this show, with the amount of time that they've been together, it's understandable that Brandon really is feeling this way. And we've seen enough of Brandon between Michelle's season and now to know that this is just who he is, like you said. So we need to understand that when we're dating and we're looking for love bombing and we want to ensure that that's not what's happening, you need to look for patterns and consistency with not only you, but other people in their life. Like, how do they talk about their friends? How do they talk about their family? Right. I had a brain fart for my second point, so I forget.
You know what? We're just going to
ADHD brain.
We're going to toss them to the recycling, and if it comes back, we'll retrieve it. It won't even be dirty. Yeah. It's just in the recycling trash. That's all.
It is. The end. I'm done chasing my thoughts. They come and go real quick.
Girl, me too. So I acknowledge the green flag for Brandon because he, like, as emotional of a guy as he is and as expressive as he is, like, he doesn't really, he wants to take the opportunity to be vulnerable and really tell someone how he feels as he feels it. And I think that is the person, in this case, it's Serene, but the partner that is on the receiving end of that with Brandon is so lucky to get that, because with someone like that, you don't have to wonder how he feels about you.
You're not asking for reassurance in that relationship.
Yeah. So it was really nice. And I thought that was special.
It kind of turned me on a little bit. There were a few moments in these BIP episodes where I was like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, listen,
Bree hears
it's
about all of
natural.
them because I basically just tell her.
She tells me it's natural. Also, like let's not forget the show creates a lot of emotional support around those big romantic
Yeah.
moments and the sexual tension moments. So, like, you know, it's by design.
It's by design, baby. Turn me on. Okay.
Okay. Boner kill. Let's talk about Michael and Sierra.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what I first want to say is Michael becomes distant. He starts becoming a little bit more distant as we're hearing. Immediately. Sierra is talking
The second
more
his son
and,
is brought up.
yeah, Sierra's talking more and more about the idea of being a stepmom. And I think she's talking about this more generally and not so specifically. She's not saying specifically in a truly like alarming kind of way. Like, I think that these are the things that we could do together with your son. And like, these are, you know, she's not being like, let me create an image of what I would look like in your life. She's just giving him nods to say, hey, I'm open to this. And Michael started to realize, wow, this is moving way too quickly, way too fast. I'm not ready to make a decision about a person who is likely to become a family member and a co-parent to my child. I respect the insight. I'm glad that he sat with that. I'm glad that he sought out support from Wells. I understand also from Sierra's perspective how she got here. She is emotionally mature. She is like a pretty level-headed being. So we've seen so far.
Yeah.
She is young though, so she's also excited about Michael, and she knows that this comes from the territory. I am not worried about like her part in this. I don't think that she's done anything wrong. I think that she got excited and really caught feelings for a person and took seriously what comes with having feelings for this person. I think her mistake was bringing awareness to that eagerness so soon with Michael.
Yeah.
I think that her intentions were in a good place, but I think that it would have served her better to just leave that information for herself on the back burner to allow those feelings to continue to develop, because you could be really excited about someone who you know has children and be like, of course I would do this for them. I feel so good. I could have loved that. But like, y'all haven't really gotten to a stage of your relationship where you really know. You need those excited feelings and those butterflies to kind of burn off a little and reassess.
Yeah.
And you want to give yourself time to feel that way before you make big statements about what life could look like together.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially because Michael already told her this about himself, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was day 1 or day 2 where Michael was like, you know, I've really had a hard time dating since Laura, because the second things get really real, I pull back. You know, it makes me question if I'm able to fall in love again. Like, he has told her this from the get-go, and she heard him and validated him in that instance. Amazing. And like you said, her excitement started bubbling out with her talking about, I'm so excited to be a badass stepmom. You know, I'm thinking about like, what if he goes to school and gets bullied? Like, how are we going to handle that? And that's really intense because she hasn't even met the kid yet. She doesn't even know if the kid likes her yet, right? Like, and if she doesn't even know if her and Michael are on solid, I love you yet ground. And my encouragement, if I could like whisper, if BIP hired us to be the 2 Muppets in the villa that people could come talk to, and we could watch the scenes and give feedback and advice, I would be like, girl, paradise is for you and Michael. Don't talk about being a stepmom yet. Just explore Michael and see if that even is going to get off the ground first, because it hadn't. It had hardly gotten off the ground. They haven't had a date. We've seen them have a few intense talks, but like, they needed more of a relationship foundation to build from before she started talking about his son. And understandably so, James is Michael's world as his son, right?
Yeah.
And so the second she brings that up and being a stepmom and inserting herself in that imagery, Michael panics and pulls back because he's like, ooh, my Papa Bear's coming out a little bit here, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even think Michael's that conscious of that's what, for me, like, that's what it seems it's very connected to. It's not just like the fact that things get real and he pulls back because he's like, oh, I miss my late wife. I think it's way more about like, I need to make sure that whoever comes into me and my son's life is fucking ace for all of these things. And
I
that's
agree.
really scary. Yeah.
I agree.
For someone you're still getting to know to start talking about your son and they don't even
Yeah.
know them yet.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
So
What he says is, I'm worried about using people to get ready to be in a place to date, which I want to leave room for that to be true because I can understand that because he's still in his healing process.
I think it's both.
Both.
Yeah,
I think it's both
100%.
too. I will say though, as much as I love Michael, and I all of this I think is true and fair and totally natural in the situation
Yeah.
with the context. I do think then that this is not the appropriate place for him.
Agreed. I literally put that. I was like, don't be on the show then, Michael. Like, don't be on the show and go get therapy or a coach to help you work through this shit, is what I said.
Get on meetup.com and join your local like intramural sports and start meeting people. Go to trivia night. Go meet people at a slow pace, no pressure, no cameras, no television. You don't have to take mad weeks off of daddying. Like
exactly.
Go get on Raya. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And so, but I do think he needs to help work through that trauma and that grief, because I think the unfortunate thing for Michael is he's so self-aware in certain areas and not in others. And that's what's kind of having him self-sabotage. And I applaud the fact that he can be aware of like, I'm starting to notice I'm using people I care about to get me to a place, which by the way, that's really also terrifying to admit on national television. So King moved there. But it's like, if you know that about yourself, you should be the one leaving the island, not Sierra.
I agree.
Right?
I totally agree. I felt like that should have been a flip-flop move. I thought that he should have left. I thought that Sierra should have stayed. And they didn't even discuss that. Sierra was just like,
No.
I don't want to see him date other people. And so therefore I want to go home. I want to be with my family. Maybe she would have felt that way even if he decided to leave. What?
By the way, can we talk about when this conversation comes up? Because there's so many ways this could have gone. And I have queen in all caps with a queen emoji for Sierra.
Yeah.
Because she handled it so well. This girl, she loves fiercely, like no doubt about it. She goes and buys this guy a constellation, 3 stars for Michael, Laura, his late wife, and his son. And she brings out so special. She brings out a telescope to be able to show him the stars and the exact, location in the sky for him to see. She presents him with, so they're having this really romantic thing. She's doing this thing that is denying herself and making room for, I'm a partner that's going to involve all parts of you, including your late wife. Like, I don't want to replace her. She's with us. Right. And like, that's huge in a partner, period. Because there's, like I said last week, there's a lot of women who would feel threatened by someone feeling so connected to their late wife still, right? Yeah. So she is like boss babe moves. And then in this moment, right after he receives his gift, he has this conversation with her. And Sierra, I was like really excited to see where this went, because Sierra could have responded and been like, really, I do this for you? I do this wonderful gift, this sentimental thing. I care about you so hard, and this is how you're going to respond, right? Like, I was like, is it going to go that way? No. This queen goes, if that's what you feel you need, okay. Girl.
There was no defensiveness whatsoever.
No. It was just 100% respect and acceptance and compassion. Like, girl.
And
yes.
I got to give him credit for even initiating that conversation after that gesture, which he had to, because to accept the gesture and then have the conversation at another time would have been cruel. But to do it after such a sweet and loving moment, a
so
truly
hard.
special gift, I don't know if I could have done it. Like, that's huge. And wow, what a tragic sort of ending to that, because I agree with you. That gift was so respectful of him and his world.
Life,
She didn't include herself in that at all. She said, here are stars for the 3 of you. Some people would have been like, here's your star, your sun star, and me.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me insert myself here. Yeah.
Yeah. But your son's there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know? And she was like, no, like it was such a beautiful gesture. I just wish it was at the right time with obviously the right partner. You know,
Yeah.
she is not going to have any trouble. My hope for Sierra is that she finds a partner. Not that Michael's not deserving of her. I just don't think there's the right time for him. And I agree with you. I think that he should have left and she should have stayed. My hope for Sierra is for her to find a partner who receives all of that energy that she gives, all of that love that she's able to give, and really protects that and preserves that and allows to foster a space where she can give that safely, because that partner, that man or whoever she chooses, will greatly benefit from that
100%.
if they take care of her in return.
100%. So I just, like, there were some serious green flags too in these two episodes.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. But I do have my note is, Michael, bro, heal your trauma. Get a qualified therapist or coach, please. In all honesty, Sierra should be staying and Michael should be going. Those are my
100%. No notes.
Love you both. Seriously. Like, not either of you are villains. It's just like, you know, we got to confront our shit before we bring other people in. Yeah.
Sucks.
Okay. So then just a note here. Love that Genevieve and Shanae are becoming friends and apologizing to one another for their shit and just coming together. That was super cute.
Really supportive.
Yeah. It was the most adorable thing to watch because they were like laughing at the shitty stuff they said. And she was like, that was a really rude comment. I'm sorry. But like, great. That makes me so happy for them.
I know. And also a good model for like us as women who are typically pitted against each other. However, what I will say is that sometimes women are socialized to forgive each other for bad behavior directed towards one another when they find a shared enemy to join in.
Mm-hmm. That's true too.
And in this same night, this shared enemy becomes Sally, who arrives on the scene finally. You know?
Yes.
So
I am talking about the conversation they had during the credits, which is daytime in their bathing suits.
Oh.
So I'm forgetting about the Sally situation.
You know what? I clicked off. I saw the credits and I said, bye.
It's the cutest little combo during the credits. You should go back and watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back.
But then we go into this next episode of the week, and yes, the guys are tripping about save us, send us, not save us, send us some women to save us.
Well, because what's happened is we've lost, Teddy left, and Sierra's now left, and then Sally came, and then Sally left. So there are so few roses from women to give out to the men. So the men are scrambling. They're scrambling before Sally even arrives. But Sally then does arrive, and she comes down.
She cray.
She is immediately confronted. Well, it's interesting that she sits down. This must have been a producer push, but she sits down with Genevieve and Shanae, and they're asking questions. I think that they're asking really fair questions to ask, which is like, you say that you're ready to come now. Why are you here? Why couldn't you get here before? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Someone not getting on a flight 3 different times is giving me real flaky energy. And I wouldn't want to date someone that uncertain about anything at any time.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, 3 times, plus what happened on the Bachelor season, plus what Wells told them. And so if I was Genevieve and Shanae, that's what I would have said. I would have been like, hey, we heard it wasn't about work. We heard it was about your ex. And so we just want to, clear the air and ensure like you're here because you're actually single and like looking for a guy, not because, you want a vacation in Mexico, and be like, no judgment. Like, it's just, we're all curious because all of us heard this story, this crazy ass story. So what happened,
There is judgment. There is judgment.
Because
they're hoping for her downfall.
Exactly. And so, like, that's where Genevieve and Shanae kind of are like, okay, well, let's not be conniving about it. Let's just, like, create the space to have the open and honest conversation with Sally. I don't like that Sally keeps saying it was work. Well, I work with my fiance. So Sally's trying to justify in her mind that work and her fiance are the same things, and they aren't. And to me, that's also very red flaggy, along with the flakiness of the flights. And then she said she owed her ex a conversation. And I completely disagree. If it, like Shanae said, if it's your ex, you don't, like, why do they need to know you're going to paradise to go see other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do get that she doesn't want her ex brought up, and she says that he was brought up by name. I did not hear the name. I don't know if they bleeped it out or if they just didn't put that part in the actual airing episode. But, like, you know, Sally gets really defensive really quickly and immediately decides to go home. And I don't like how she says, if no one can understand why I don't have respect for the guy that I was with before this, then I'm out. This is why I didn't get on 3 flights. And then she storms off. But I really agree with James. You're on a dating show. It's understandable that people want to know about your dating history. And, like, especially since what we just heard is you were going back to your ex umpteenth times. So can we please clear the air before one of us guys decides to take a romantic interest in you, please? You know? Yeah, it's weird. It's fishy as fuck is what I put.
Fishy. I didn't like it. I like, it was really weird to see her come and then leave, but I'm not sad that she's leaving, to be honest.
Me neither. And I also low-key loved that, like, they even aired this of all of the people talking like this must have been a producer stunt just to have her come down and blow up for 5 minutes and leave. Like, they were even talking about that and aired that on the episode, which I feel is just further confirmation that that's exactly what this was. It's a reality show. They need drama. Sally brings the drama. Here we go. You know, which is why they paid for all those flights. Every flight she missed, ABC kept paying for them. Like, damn. I would have taken one of those flights. Send me to the villa.
I would have taken one of them. I said, fuck it, let's go.
I'll go with Wells.
Yeah.
The bar.
Sally has got to let go of ABC. Sally, if you're listening, if you want to be on the show, if you want to speak your piece.
ABC needs to let go of Sally.
I agree. I know they hold the power. They hold the power.
They're both toxic for each other.
They are. End your toxic relationship. They are engaged in a cycle of abuse.
It's bad. Yeah, exactly. Which only sheds light on what Sally's been going through with her fiance. And I'm sorry, common denominator here is Sally. That means there's some shit going on with her.
Not healthy.
And so, of course, she starts to position it as, I'm too real for this shit. And Justin is, like, agreeing with her because he, of course, is immediately trying to pursue her for her rose. And then she leaves. The end.
Yep.
So, next day comes... Next day comes on, and guess who shows up? Pizza
Literally,
boy. Peter.
My least favorite
man.
person.
What did I call him on our show last year? I think it was Meatball Man because I had that meatball sub.
Yeah, that's right. You called him Meatball Man, which is funny because then the most recent season of The Bachelor actually includes a guy whose nickname and he goes by Meatball.
I know.
But this is so not Gabby and Rachel's Meatball, but this is Alex's Michelle's season
Michelle
Meatball
Young
guy.
Yeah,
Meatball Man. But you were like, I just had a meatball parm. It's so good. But no, he is Pizza Pete.
Yes,
Pizza Peter, who is literally my least favorite person to ever walk across the Bachelor stage. My least favorite.
Can I use the word narcissist in the grandiose, overt way here?
Sure. I even want to just call him an absolute idiot. Ding dong. Ding-a-ling.
Yeah, sure. All of the above. But here's the deal. Like, we need to, and I, again, there's a difference between me saying, like, there's severe narcissistic tendencies and being able to, we can't diagnose someone as narcissist unless, you know, they, again, went to a psychiatrist and all of that good stuff. But, again, correlation, people. Grandiose, talks about himself, always has to hype up his pizza. Then when he's rejected, he starts projecting, she's not here for the right reasons, da-da-da-da. So let Brie and I break this down from the get-go, all the way through, because red flag after red flag after red flag.
It's horrible. Peter comes down, and we know that he's going to get a date card, and he's going to be able to take someone out. But before he does that, he needs to meet some of the women that are on the beach. he has conversations from what we can see, Victoria and Shanae, and they're going terribly. No one wants to date him.
No.
Which that is so rare. I
know.
feel like on this show, it's so rare. And then Brittany has a conversation with him in which I think all that they've concluded is that they are both Aquariuses. And she's so excited. And this made me like cry
So
little
sad.
baby tears.
I know.
Yeah. She was so excited. Also, by the way, what the fuck happened to Casey and Brittany? I have no idea what happened to them. The last I saw
Not a
of
clue.
Brittany, she was like laying her head upon Casey's chest and they were like just cuddling. This was like the week prior. And not a single clue of what happened. It must have been so anticlimactic that they didn't even want to air it.
Yeah,
And
for real.
but Brittany is like all excited and then she gets chosen for the date, which is so interesting as Casey, who's someone who was recently connected with Brittany, and also is from Michelle's season, shared space and airtime with Peter, hates Peter. But I like the way that he talks about him. I mean, it's kind of cruel, but it's like it's earned. It's earned. He's like, listen, I don't know anything about the quality of the dude that he is, but he is just an absolute ding dong. Like, he's like, he only talks about his pizza business. He only talks about himself. He's just an absolute meathead, for lack of a better term. And he's an impossible person to like connect with. So he was like,
Wonder
the
why.
fact that the fact that Brittany and Peter are in this day, he's like, that is laughable. Like, hee hee ha ha, we'll see how this goes. He has zero belief that Brittany's going to come away being like, oh, it's such a good date.
For real.
And what we
And he's
learn,
right.
yeah, he's right. They go on a yacht. They have like a little picnic. They go for a swim. And it is so clear so quickly that Brittany is not asked a single question. If anything, any questions that she's asked, it's
About him.
It's about him. He's wondering, how does he feel about her? What did she notice about him? She is just losing more and more interest. Icks are piling on top of icks. Her body language, she no longer wants to be there. And you can tell she's a good girl because when she comes back, she's like, I don't want to sound ungrateful because it was such a beautiful date, but wow, horrible experience. And she says, she goes, it truly reminds me that like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It totally matters who you're with. And Peter is not someone I want to be with here.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really hard. It was hard to watch. Like,
yeah,
it was hard to watch because he kept saying the same one-liners. Like, I change lives one slice at a time. He said that to her at least twice on camera. And then it's just, and Casey's right when he says that all this guy talks about is his business, how great his business is, how successful he is, how much money he leads with that, right? And that's his way of trying to connect with people, is let me show you how amazing I am. Remember when I said at the beginning of this episode that this is like the narcissist anthem is like, I need to avoid shame and I need to be the best always. Like, I need to protect my reputation and avoid shame all of the time, right? And you just see that in him constantly. And so it's all about him. It's all about like, he's trying to love bomb her by basically saying like how much money he has, how great he is, and all of that, and how lucky she would, kind of implying like how lucky she would be if she was with him. And then he leans in for a kiss. Brittany swerves another kiss. Poor girl is gonna get like kiss swerving trophy on BIP. Like she's killing it with the swerves. Yeah, but man, he said it was cool to her face. Like, no, it's cool. Cause like she, rejected him. But then they get back, and I did not like this. He immediately goes to the guys because the guys are like, how did the date go? And all the girls are trying to talk to Brittany about her. And she's trying to be respectful. She's like, I'd really like to wait till he's not around. And I'm like, wow, queen, also a queen. And then we see Peter literally tell the guys, Brittany, I don't think Brittany's here for the right reasons. He just thinks that, he's here for Instagram clout, because he's taking her rejection and literally saying like, what, is my Instagram following not good enough for you? Like, he literally says that to the guys. And he starts to go in his confessional. I did everything right. I was witty. I was funny. And so it makes me wonder here if she's really here for the right reasons. And it's like, this is why I feel comfortable to say severe narcissistic traits here, because it's grandiosity, right? It's very overt type narcissism, which is not typically what I see a lot. Like the majority of cases I work with are covert type narcissistic abuse. But dude, like textbook. Yeah, and so I want him to get voted off the island too. Bye.
I want people to, and he will. I can't imagine anyone giving him a rose. I really don't see it. I want to remind people, like, just because you think that a date has gone super well, and you think it has been perfect, and I did all the right things, no one owes you shit.
100%.
No one owes you shit. No one owes you affection. No one owes you a kiss. No one owes you a fuck. No one owes you a second date. No one owes you a
rose.
Hug. A rose. Like, no one owes you shit. Like, and it doesn't even necessarily mean that like there must be something wrong with them. Like, it just,
right.
Listen, that dude is so painfully unaware. It's hard to watch. Truly.
It is hard to watch. Yeah. But, you know, it's how those types are. So, Peter, get help. Get help.
Oh my God.
No one cares about your pizza. Not because your pizza's not great, but because that
I'm sure that it's bad. I already know it's
your
bad
pizza
because
company.
It's pizza that is made in Florida. It can't be good. It cannot
Bro, when
be
I
good.
come visit you, we have to drive down and go grab some. And like,
okay, but like,
Instagram
do we really want to pay him?
Ugh, we have to do it for the gram. It's grammable.
I had
Think
that
about
thought
it
too.
as a business investment.
Listen, only if we can make content out of it and review it.
I'll pay for it. I'm down. Yeah.
I promise it's trash. Promise. Okay.
What if it's good? You're gonna have to eat your words.
I doubt it. I will eat my words, but Mark, I'm going on record. There is no way that man's pizza made in these waters is good.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Really quick question. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I'm into it.
Me too. Okay, great.
Yeah. I love a break with some acidity and some
Me
ham.
too.
I love a Hawaiian.
Some people who are me too. Some people who are listening to this right now are like trash.
Come for me.
Yeah, my bestie at work, Alicia, she loathes pineapple always. Like, she just doesn't like pineapple. And then she was like, she had me over to like celebrate my graduation. She's like, what do you want on your pizza? I was like, pineapple. And I was like, but I know you hate it. We don't need to get it. She bought me my own small pineapple pizza.
It's really sweet.
She's like, you can have that trash. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah,
So,
very
thanks,
sweet.
Leash.
I'm glad that she
Thank you.
allowed it
You're
in her
the
house.
best.
Yeah, come
she
for me.
did.
If you want to have a conversation about this, come for me. I will
We'll debate
die
it
on
on the
this
gram.
hill. I will
Yes.
die on this fucking hill. It's science.
Pineapple, warm
it's literally
fruit.
science. It's the salt and the acidic nature, the acidic properties of the pineapple. It is a perfect flavor combination. And I can't help you if you have poor taste, babes. I can't help you.
100.
Okay.
Okay. Moving
Okay, all right,
on.
all right.
Brittany gets back
wait.
from this date. Yeah.
She gets back from this date.
Not happy.
Not happy. And you know what? Good for her. Not that she had a terrible date, but I applaud that she every gut instinct said,
Yes.
I have been lacking
Run.
a connection, but I don't need a connection this bad. And I want us to keep that energy, y'all. You don't want to settle for someone like Pizza Pete just
Don't
because
settle.
you
want attention or sex.
exactly. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let that person heal before revisiting. But
100.
she does come back, and something that I did not know is that she was missing Mr. Andrew. She was missing Andrew, and Andrew on the other side of things was sort of sulking after Teddy left, and he's giving himself the opportunity to open himself up to new connections. And it turns out he was missing Miss Brittany too.
It was so cute. So she gets back, she updates her girls on like all the, tea. And then all of a sudden, Andrew and her go for a little chitty chat on the far daybed, which we all know is the spot. And it was the cutest thing because Andrew's like kind of trying to fumble over his words about how he likes her and how she's been on his mind. And Brittany agrees. And then she just lays one on him. And I was like, fuck yeah, girl, go
why
for
this
it.
was powerful is like, she has not kissed anyone. This is what she tells us. This is what she tells Peter. When she swerves Peter, she was like, I just move really slowly.
Yeah.
I listen, we don't have to move slow for the people that we like and that like us back.
No, and people we feel safe with. And like Andrew, again, I say this all the time, Andrew is the teddy bear of a man. Like there is something about his aura and the way he handles himself that is so gentle yet strong simultaneously, and it is fucking hot. And she feels that with him. And I think Brittany's the same way. She's tender yet strong. Like they have really good energy. And so watching these two make out, that was the second time where I was like, fuck, I'm getting horny watching this. Cause like it was so good. Like it was just such a good, honest, nice conversation that was natural and the chemistry was there in a good way. Like a grounded, like we get along, we're here for each other. It was really cool. Yeah. So good job, you too.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I love to see it. I listen, she also something that was interesting is that Andrew did not know that she felt anything towards him, which I could kind of see because Brittany is kind of like, she's more direct with her speech and she's not so emotionally expressive is what I picked up. So
she's not like a flirty flirt.
Yeah. I think it can be confusing. And we've touched on this before. I think if you are someone that's not really comfortable flirting in the outward sense, you do need to let people know if you're interested in them. And you don't want to be anywhere near on the spectrum of Kira, who is like, I like you. I want to take you home with me, blah, 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 blah. But just to let someone know, like, hey, I know that I'm not that flirty and I didn't know if you knew this, but like, I'm feeling you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're going to do about that.
Brie, I'm feeling you.
Oh, well, lucky for you, it's our 1-year anniversary. We'll schedule our Monday time together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
People are like, what the fuck? These two are crazy. Look.
Yeah, and
you're either with us or you're not. I'm just kidding. Jacob and Jill.
I can't help you if you don't have taste, babes.
I know.
Okay, Jacob and Jill.
I'm so happy for this one too.
Yeah, so Jacob gets a date card, which we didn't know this either, but like they've been spending more time together. They've definitely been flirting with each other, playing around with like physical affection, but on like a slow burn for the two of them, kind of way. And I think the group consensus is that everyone feels that they have matched energy, really loud, vibrant energy about each of them as individuals. So you put them together and they are vibing off of each other. This isn't always a good match, but if it works, listen, I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
So they go on a date.
And they go on a date, and like, this is the thing. This will be an interesting connection to kind of watch to see what happens now after this date, because it was a fabulous date for these two. And I was actually really impressed with Jacob a few times because he is similar to Aaron in the sense that like he has this surfer boy like bro-ishness to him, but then on the other side there's like a deeper, more emotional, intelligent, more grounded, more open-minded, communicative, wants people to feel safe and cared for vibe, which is great. And so, you know, they go on this really woo-woo date, which I was like, oh my God, if this was me and this was my, like, it's something that I would fucking totally do with a partner that I was established with. Yeah. But not on a first date. This would feel so vulnerable if this was like a first date for me.
I was going to ask you, would you get naked?
Not on a first date. But if it was someone I was like in a relationship with, yeah. But I don't know if I would feel, and I wouldn't. Okay,
let me ask you a different question.
Okay.
Let's say you'd been seeing someone for a while and you hadn't had sex yet though. So you haven't actually seen each other naked, but there has been a buy-in of we're doing this.
We're a couple.
Yeah. We're a couple, but we haven't fucked yet.
Let me sit with that for 1 second. There's a part of me that feels I would be like, yeah, why not? Because of the cool experience. And there's a part of me that's like the third person, like the instructor being there. That's the only, depending on how safe I felt with them seeing my naked body, that would be a contributing factor. So it's kind of hard for me to answer with like for show or not. But that's my honest answer there. Is
Yeah.
like I would be open to it if the instructor was cool and I had bonded enough with the instructor that I was okay with her seeing my yoni, you know? But like when it comes to my person, if we had established a connection and that was the first time they were going to see me naked, like sure. I feel pretty comfortable naked with the right people. Like it's not
Yeah.
an issue, you know?
Uh-huh.
You've seen me naked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so it's like
a dance girls lives.
yeah, so it's like I think it just depends on the instructor dynamic for sure.
Okay, cool,
for me.
cool. I was just curious. Let
But
me not leave you alone in this vulnerability. I would do the same thing. I think like if we hadn't had sex yet, and this would be the first time that they'd see me naked, would do it. I would definitely do it with homie Wolf Girl from Mexico in this date experience that they had.
Same.
She seemed,
yeah, I liked
she
her.
She gave me good vibes. I felt safe with her. She seemed like she really knew what she was talking about. It was a very intentional practice that they engaged in, and would be awkward, but I think I'd want to move towards that.
Yeah, I think it would be a really cool experience. So what I want to talk about this discussion though, because I loved how Jacob handled it, and I was like, king move here too. The guys are getting some green flags this week, okay?
Yes.
So Jacob, the instructor says, you know, if we want to go deeper, you're going to need to get naked. Are you comfortable with that? And Jacob immediately looks at Jill and says, I'm comfortable with this. And I won't judge, and I assume you won't judge either. And then she agrees. But, like, he very much was like, I don't want to pressure you. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Because I think Jill and Jacob have had enough of a friendship and camaraderie built that she felt safe with him, too. So they do it. And it was great. And it was so cute. Like, it was the sweetest little... But I loved how he was like, here's what I'm feeling. And he was very much saying like, I won't judge. I don't want you to judge either. Like that's what Jacob needed. So he spoke up for himself in the most gentle way. It was really sweet. I loved that. It was the cutest little conversation. And so they do it and they come back from their date like on a fucking cloud 9 and then some. They were glowing. And obviously because the physical and emotional intimacy that came from it. And then storms in Kira.
Literally
dun.
stomping again.
Yeah.
She goes up to Jacob and she pulls him for a chat, which also everyone's already surprised to see her because she literally just got voted off. She didn't get a rose. She exits the island. She comes back. She's like, Jacob, I'm looking for closure. I feel like we had a connection that we were building and then we never got to talk about it. And it's like, no, you didn't. Also, you could have said goodbye and you could have had that moment then.
You stormed off.
You stormed off. You left with no notes. So Jill is obviously upset. And what happens next is that she's talking to Jacob about this. And Jacob's he's hanging there for a long time. He's listening to what she's saying. And he's just staying in that moment with her. And everyone else is sort of figuring out like, dude, like, why is it shouldn't have to take this long for you to say what we expect that you're probably going to say, which is like, thanks, but no thanks. And so Jill, after a while, we don't know how long it actually was. She's like, I've had enough of this. I'm out. And then Brittany walks over to Jacob. She's like, dude. She cuts in totally. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? Jill's upset. You're still here. I don't even know why you're still here. I thought that was a pretty bold move on Brittany's part, but I applauded it. I was like,
me too.
Girl.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Brittany can be our friend. Like, she's
100%.
a solid human, too. Like, she stays, she speaks up when she feels she needs to speak up. She shuts up when it's not her business to speak up. Like, she is so emotionally intelligent and aware. Like, fuck yeah, girl, fucking get it. And, like, be a light to this TV show.
And I'm really glad that Jacob had the awareness. So he went to go follow Jill. He went to go confront her and see how she was doing. I'm really glad that he had the awareness to say, like, I was wrong. I should have closed that conversation way sooner. it took me by surprise. I'm not really sure I knew what was going on. Like, he wasn't being direct enough about it in that moment with Kira. He needed to be like,
No.
He needed to say what he ended up saying much sooner, which is like, hey, I know that we were building, or I know that we were flirting. Sorry it didn't work out. I'm building something with Jill right now. I feel good about it, and I've got to go.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, when we look at the conversation with Kira and Jacob, you know, Kira's really intense. She's scary. She's intimidating, even to someone like Jacob. And that energy, that brooding energy, can be very hard to speak up against in the moment, especially when that person who has such an intense brooding energy is saying something that sounds very vulnerable, right? It's kind of like a mismatch in energy. She's sitting there trying to be like, I feel we have unfinished business. I feel that this, but it's not coming with this light, airy, like, I care about you feeling. It's like, I feel we have unfinished business and you didn't give me the rose and you gave someone else and you kind of gave up on the connection that we had. It feels very threatening. And so I can understand, and I want to give Jacob a little grace here, that it's hard for a guy that has a gentle soul like his to be like, okay, no, like, I applaud you for, and he eventually does do this, but it, like you said, it takes probably 30 or 45 minutes for him to get there, where he's like, I really respect you for putting your entire self out there, but what I have with Jill, and then Kira still pushes, and this is what's up with these types of folks, is they're so, like, angling for she starts to say, do you think there's any, after Jacob said no, and he cuts her off again and says, I need to go comfort Jill right now. No.
We're done.
And shuts it down. But like good for him. That second time, he was way more like, no, I need to go take care of the woman that I want to commit to. Bye. Right? Mm-hmm. So he gets there. And then, when he goes up to see Jill, it's again, beautiful conversation, because he takes ownership and is like, I'm so sorry that took so long. I should have shut it down. And then immediately goes to tell Jill, I don't want you thinking that because Kira came back and I saw her that anything's disrupted here. Nothing's disrupted here. And then what I really love is they're like, we don't need to talk about this anymore. We had such a great date today. And they celebrated that together and immediately repaired. That is beautiful conflict resolution too. So they dropped the dirt. He owned up to why, it hurt Jill, what he should have done. And then they flipped into, let's focus on the beautiful day that we just had and not lose sight of that together. Huge. Good job, Jacob.
Good job, Jacob. And I didn't know if he had it in him, so I was glad to see it.
Me too.
Jill deserved it.
It was great. Yeah. Meanwhile, Kira goes after that, sulking, and who the fuck swoops in?
Romeo swoops in and he goes to check in on her, and she's like, she starts to talk about how she feels that no one ever understands her, which I kind of believe from her perspective, because I think that she's probably a frequently misunderstood person. Her energy doesn't match her, like her
what she's saying.
Her words.
It's weird.
And I don't really know what's going on there, but I do know that it's hard to make sense of, and so it's not catching on with a lot of folks. And Romeo hugs her, then he starts crying.
Yeah, like, and then Romeo. They make out.
Yeah, I'm like, Romeo, what are you crying about? maybe he felt the same way. Maybe her words were matching a part of his experience that said, oh my God, like, she's saying how I've been feeling about myself. And so honestly, the two of them are just trauma bonding right now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They're trauma bonding. And they connect, and then Kira
says the same. She does drop that bomb, and I'll get to that in a second. But she says the same line to Romeo that she said to Jacob 5 seconds ago. Yeah. She's like, we have unfinished business, Romeo. And it's like, oh my God, girl, like, can you leapfrog any faster?
Well,
Romeo, you leapfrog any faster?
That to me feels manipulative.
Oh,
everything Kira did was manipulative.
100%. It all is. And so Kira looks after their little makeout session. She's like, so do you want to leave paradise with me? And I love that they left the long pause in and did not edit it. It was the longest pause. He didn't say a word. You could see it in his face. I eventually, like, the way his face shifted eventually towards the end of that long pause, I was like, he's going to say no and she's going to blow up. And then she doesn't even let him respond. She goes, what are you saying? Because he wasn't saying anything. And then he was like, all right. and they leave. What a settling. You could tell he didn't really want to do it, but he didn't feel that he had any other option, because his options were stay on this beach for another day or two and don't get a rose and go home then, or go home with Kira and make it seem like we're leaving as a happy, healthy couple, which, oh my God, the confessional about them getting it, and they zoom in on Romeo's face and he's like,
he looks like he's in pain. He doesn't look happy.
It's
he looks
terrifying.
Like and they also couple it with like spooky Halloween music, like do 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 do.
Yeah.
You know, it's very like, it's very eerie, and because it matches the intensity of her energy, it matches the lack of genuine enthusiasm and joy on Romeo's part. It feels like she just walked away with like a puppy she stole.
100%. He literally shudders in the interview. He's like he does that. And I was like, whoa, okay, there's your nervous system trying to regulate, because that will fucking happen. We will do that. We will, we'll calibrate by, that's why trauma shaking's a thing. But like, his nervous system is fucking panicking, and you see him shudder in that moment in the confessional, and I'm like, bro, you're freaking the fuck out. And my practitioner hat came on real quick, and I was like, don't get in the van with her. Like, when he went to go like put her in first, I thought he was gonna close the door behind her. I was like, don't do it.
That would have been great television. That would have been great television.
But then he got in, and I hope they break up on the flight home, honestly. Like, that is just going to be more trauma for both of them. Don't do it. Don't do it. It was terrifying. It was like watching a train wreck. It was literally like watching two giant
We haven't seen, we haven't really seen the group noticing that they've left. Right?
Not yet.
Okay, so maybe we'll see that this week.
I don't think anyone's going to give a shit. I think they're going to be like, cool, great.
Wow, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think that Romeo played his cards wrong really bad from the get-go at Paradise, and he tried to choose the route out that would make him look as good of a person as possible, then rejected and being sent home. You know what I mean? Like, I think he just tried to pick the lesser evil, but doesn't realize how icky that came across, you know? Yeah. Okay, red flag, green flags.
RNG, baby. RNG.
RNG.
My red flag is gonna go to Justin.
Yeah.
He gets a big fat capital R red flag in conflict. Listen, if you're not feeling close to your in quote partner, in the height or what you hope is the end of your conflict, do not force intimacy, in order to feel resolved. It is manipulative. It is, you know what? I'm not even going to assign more words. It's manipulative. And it's not going to work. So, the him like guilting her because it's his birthday. Can I get a kiss? Can I get a hug? Was so gross. And low-key triggering, honestly.
Yeah.
It was really gross. So I feel, honestly, let me just use this moment, rest of my time on this topic, to say, if there was anyone that was watching this that felt triggered by that moment, I see you, I hear you. I'm sorry for what that brought up in you, and I encourage you to take care of yourself, because I felt it too. And I at least this can confirm that behavior is wrong for everyone who watched and felt that way.
Yeah, and I also would take it a step further on use it as an exercise, because I talk about this a lot. Like, we need to be able to understand and discern within our bodies the difference between excitement and anxiety, or like our nervous system saying beware, essentially. And this is something that, like, old Alex, before I had been aware of anything that I'm aware of today, would have been like, oh my God, my kiss means something special to him on his birthday. That's why he's asking for a kiss on his birthday from me. And I would, in my traumatized brain, would interpret that request as not manipulative, but as a quote unquote sign of his care for me. Right. Mm-hmm. And this is why trauma work is so important, because my body would be saying beware, alert, alert, but I would be interpreting it with my logical brain as this is chemistry. This is passion. This is how much he likes me because it's his birthday and he's in pain that I'm not giving him the love that he wants. And if I'm going to be a good partner for him, I need to do that. And it's like, Ooh. So if that trigger, because I'm with you, that was triggering for me because of exactly the story I just told you,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
could feel the duality come up, and
Yeah.
it's like we need to sit with that and say, "Ooh, no, that trigger that I'm feeling is a trigger. It is a sign that this isn't good." And so pay attention to how that showed up in your body if it triggered you, and then that way you'll be able to recognize that same sensation in the real world when it's happening in real time, because you'll say like, "Ooh, this is familiar. Oh yeah, when I watched that manipulative tactic on VIP." This is that, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
like, as fucked up as reality TV can be, it can really be educational when you look at it through this lens.
Well, and when you create a platform for yourself in which you buy a microphone, you grab a friend, and you talk about it.
So true. So my red flag. Oh my gosh, there's so many to give out. I guess I'll give it to Pizza Peter just because it's like so stark and obvious. But look, relationships are built around vulnerability and like opening up to one another and getting to know one another. And so if you're dating someone and it's all one-sided and they aren't asking you questions over text, or they aren't asking you questions face to face on your dates, pay attention to that. That's a red flag. Yeah.
Huge.
Green flags.
Green flags.
There's several of them to give out this week. I
There's
love it.
so many.
You get a green flag. You get a green flag.
I want to give a green flag to Sierra. I thought that she was as vulnerable as it was appropriate that she felt it to be. Like, she may have been excited about Michael and let her words sort of run away from her when she was talking about what the future could look like. I can't fault her for that. That's not a red flag in my opinion. I think that she was just excited, and he didn't really give her feedback to say like, I need this to go slower. Let's try it. Let's scale it back and keep moving. She didn't get that feedback. She was met with this is too much for me, and I don't think that I think that I want to be friends instead. Yeah. So I think that the green flag for her goes towards the way that she showed respect for Michael and his attachments and feelings about his family and his late wife. I thought that was such a beautiful gesture. And I want to give an honorary green flag to how she handled the conversation when Michael did hit the eject button. I thought that she really respected his choice, and I hope that she gets lots of love and lots of support from people who know her really well when she gets back home.
Yeah, 100%. My green flag is going to go to Aaron for hearing Genevieve, like literally hearing Genevieve, because Aaron could have gone into that conversation closed-minded, like, you kissed someone else and I watched it after we had a great date, so fuck you. He could have sat there in that energy. And instead he's like, I low-key have PTSD from the last time that this happened to me on this beach, which I watched that season. That was crazy. And fucked up because it was like, anyway. And so that, like, he owned his feelings. He admitted what he was struggling with. He was honest with her, saying like, look, I'm still getting to know you. So like, that's why that was so concerning to me. And she took, like, it was just a good, healthy conflict resolution. And then Aaron, once he understood the context of why that happened, was able to understand where she was coming from, was able to still communicate his feelings for her. And look, they moved on into better relationship dynamics.
Greener
together.
pastures.
Greener pastures with those green flags. So good job, you guys. Proud of you. That's it for this week. Thanks. This was a long one, but a juicy one.
A juicy one, and if I'll say it myself, a pretty good one. Good for us.
Yeah, we had a good time.
If you like this episode and you like what we're doing, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Give a review, rate us. 5 stars is preferable, but if you have a different feeling, that's okay. We would love to hear from you. If you want to reach out to us on Instagram or TikTok, our handles are Ditch the Script Pod. If you want to go to our website, you can ask us a question, or you can apply for a free 30-minute mini session where we would record your support needed and the support that we give online. And so you would want to go to www.ditchthescriptpod.com. Go to our YouTube channel, like our videos there, subscribe to us there. You know the drill.
The end.
The end.
All right, y'all. Love you so much. Have a good week. We'll see you.
Ta-ta. Happy anniversary.
Bye-bye.
We're taking you out on dates.
Yeah.
Bye.